Hello and happy February. Thank you for joining us on this Facebook Live kind of consciousness update for February. I'm calling this consolidation of personal power. It just came that so many of us are bleeding away our personal power. So this is a fabulous time to bring everything back for our spiritual growth because consciousness is evolving so quickly and we need to ride that wave. So I'm Jonette Crowley. I'm a channel, a shaman, an author, a grandmother, and so many of you know me and are holding the energies. So thank you, thank you. So February is really a vortex month in a vortex year. I've called this year, or Mark has called this year, the year of truth. And Mark is my guide for 33 years. And I work with him weekly with so many of you. But this year really is the biggest change since 2012. And I see it as a vortex. And what we're trying to do is find the sweet spot. Well, February, with all the twos, and with all the planets going direct now, last week was the first time in like forever that all the planets are going direct. So what that means is it's an opportunity to jump in now. It's an opportunity, good fortune. February 1st was the beginning of the Chinese New Year, the year of the tiger, the king of the beasts in Chinese mythology or the Chinese zodiac. So this is really a time where power is abundant. But we have to uncover it. We've lost sight of what our true power is. And I really see two worlds. And the one world is the world where we've lived in, and I'll do it like this, where it's polarity. And in that polarity, our personal power gets brokered. Means I'm going to give some power to you, you give back some love to me. I'm going to protect myself so you don't take my power. So we get very protective, we get very dualistic, and we get separated. So this whole false world that power can be brokered, that it can be lost and it can be given, is the temporal world. This is the world where we're living in, but we're escaping more and more. So the higher worlds that I'm calling Shambhala, the Shambhala consciousness, the higher worlds are getting closer. The higher worlds, power isn't traded, it's not lost, it can't be taken. That core power is. So let me give you an example. In our lower world, we say abundance. Abundance is really power. And we might say, oh, I deserve abundance. Well, if you look at that, deserving abundance means that maybe you might not deserve abundance. So abundance isn't a given. When we get to this higher world, this world of Shambhala, this world of our higher self, power is a given. It can't be destroyed. It can't be given away. It can't be taken away. Abundance is a given. Love and trust are a given. Flow is a given. We don't have to keep earning it and protecting ourselves when it's not there. I was just thinking about this time right now. We've got two great examples of the two worlds. The one world is the borders of Ukraine, where massive military might is positioned for we don't know what. And then we have in China right now the Winter Olympic Games, where it's about love and oneness. So there's two very real uses of power. And what I'm seeing, actually, is there's more holes. There's more what start as pinholes, but are portals or vortices between our world and the higher world. And I'm seeing it a lot in the personal sessions I do, that's where I can really sense the changes that people are going through, is in those personal sessions. So many people are sometimes sensing or even seeing these portals of light, and we're able to go through them, and the changes, all of a sudden they can feel their body is different, their beingness is different, their outlook is different. And we didn't heal or fix what was in the old world. We didn't deal with all the karma. We didn't fix their mother-in-law. We are just moving from that world into more and more of having our balance, our place in the higher world. Um, an example that I've shared sometimes in my workshops is about 2 years ago. I was doing my meditation in the morning, and I decided to say, um, I love you, Jonette. And if you look at that, there's two parts of me. There's I, the higher self, who's loving me, the lower self, who's cuddled there in bed. But all of a sudden, I realized it wasn't just I, the higher self, and the Jonette, my lower self. In the awareness, I realized that I was witnessing these two parts, the higher self saying, I love you, Jonette. And I realized I wasn't the higher self or the Jonette self, but that witness self. So we've been working really hard in our lower world, bringing in our higher self. But just the idea that we're bringing in our higher self means that we aren't it. So what we're doing now is moving through these vortices or portals where we're moving to this Shambhala consciousness, this higher consciousness. It's not the consciousness of our higher self. It's the consciousness of our all self. All of our being is there. So there's so many opportunities really for us to let go of this power struggle in the lower self and come back to our true core power. Right now, Mark tomorrow is starting our alchemy course. It's the second one of our alchemy course, and this is on Zoom, and many of you are part of it. And we've been working with realization, where we realize these higher worlds. And now, starting tomorrow, we're doing an 8-week course every Monday on actualization, which means actually embodying the truth that we've begun to filter into ourselves. And the other thing to support everybody in making this shift in this year of 2022, this vortex year, is I'm going to be doing another set of trilogies. This is going to be an initiation trilogy. It's not up on my website, but the first one's going to be February 22nd, 2022. It's a 12-day. 12 means completion, and we're going to do actually an initiation of completion. The next trilogy will be on the equinox, and then in May for an eclipse, a lunar eclipse. So we're doing things to help support this movement. The opportunities for us is really to stay mindful in your higher vibration. A good example is a hot air balloon. So our higher frequencies are like the hot air, which is air at a higher frequency. We're doing in our meditations and in your spiritual work, we're gaining higher frequencies. That's, part of our spiritual growth. But what sometimes we fail to do in the hot air balloon is to let go of the sandbags, to let go of all the ballast that holds us in this lower world. So the opportunities right now, especially in February, are to be very mindful of the sandbags that you're still holding, even though you're doing all this spiritual work to have a higher frequency. One thing to look at is notice where you're reactive, where someone says something or does something, or you see it on the news and you go, oh, I can't believe that. Whenever you move into the emotion of reaction, you are you're staying down in polarity, action, reaction, this, that, black, white. So any reactivity, dears, any drama is more sand in your sandbags to keep you in this duality, polarity world. So what you'll notice as you get rid of the sandbags and you let your high frequency actually lift you is you're more gentle with yourself. You're more gentle with others. You don't say, oh, there I go again. You just bless your mistakes. You bless what you see on TV. You bless people with other viewpoints. You bless people with your viewpoints. You become more magnificent. You become more Buddha like. And that is a choice. So you're bringing all these high frequencies, but you have to choose to not keep living and stirring the pot in this lower world. Um, Also, when you do meditations, ask to see these escape holes, these portals. Honestly, I'm seeing them as these golden vortices, and I'm going in them. I'm inviting the people I'm working with to go in them, and they can feel a difference. A great way to keep finding these openings or portals to the higher dimensions so that we lift to the higher dimensions, not just bring the higher dimensions down, is soul body fusion. It's simple. You don't need training in it. Do soul body fusion because it is transformational to get us back to our core self, which is power, abundance, love. Yesterday, I have a neighbor here who has stage 4 cancer. So I went to her house to do soul body fusion. We've never talked about spiritual things. I never told her I wrote a book about soul body fusion. And we stayed 6 feet apart. So she sat there wrapped in her blankets. And I said, I'm going to do this thing, just be in your body. And I didn't expect anything that she would have any experience at all, because it really is a portal to the higher worlds, bringing it into her body. And her knees and her feet started tingling, which she never feels. And I thought, well, that's good. And afterwards, she's going, what did you do to me? My body feels so different. And she was in shock, really. She goes, and she didn't have the vocabulary for it. So you all, there's so many ways to really bring your true core power, your true core abundance back into this life. But we have to be mindful. Um, the other opportunity to stay in this new power or real power is to not insist on answers from the old level. Like, no, I can't move up there until I unravel all this or until I go back and fix all those decisions I made with regard to my mom. We don't have to fix it at this level, and we don't have to understand it at this level. And that's going to drive our brain crazy, but it's our brain that keeps us in that lower level. The other thing, besides don't insist upon understanding it at this level, is, look at our thought patterns. We have so many, and we can nullify or change our thought patterns by digging into the pattern itself. But that sometimes takes forever and doesn't work. So we've got all these thought patterns, and instead of working on them, what I suggest is nullify them by changing the space the thought patterns are in, which means don't fix all the thought patterns. The space they're in is your sense of self. So when you find that Zen higher place, that sense of self, you've changed the space. That's what changes all the thought patterns. We don't need to change the thought patterns before. We can change the broadcast level, not the program. Uh, some other thoughts to work on, no, wrong word, is that I can't just change. I really have to work on this. Oh, I've got to think about this. Oh, I've got to really do this. Um, just erase that. Just move to grace. And I can't change everything. That belief, I can't change everything, so I don't know how to change this. Let go of all of that. Let go of understanding and needing to understand. What I see is that, we have this life where we're all in our karma school, and we have this higher world of Shambhala, and we're now in the transit lounge between the two worlds. The great thing about the transit lounge is not only can we come up, but all those higher beings, the elders and masters, they are also in that transit lounge. So as we sit there and wait for our next plane, as we sit there, it's not just the small us who's there. We are now one with all these great beings and elders and masters who have come into that transit lounge too. So you've got much more capacity than just the small you. And this is the time to just open that up, come back to your true power, and create from this new potential. We're so supported. All the doors are open and lined up. So I want to read something that I just happened to come across. Mark channeled it a few years ago, and he called it Celebrating Life. And it's still true now. He said, celebrating life comes from a deep well of self-acceptance and self-love. Celebrating yourself is first, because you can't see what to celebrate in anything outside yourself, in nature or your fellow man, unless you're celebrating yourself first. Think of the word triumphant. It lifts you to a place of being victorious without an enemy. When you celebrate, you are seeding joy. Celebration is the way of ease in the new earth. Your current world is one of work and burdens, filled with karma, guilt, and sin. It's a very heavy world. The world you are bringing in, celebrating, playing, and dancing in, is the world of grace and ease. And I love this insight. He said, in your current world, you work first, then celebrate your accomplishment. In your new world, celebration dances in the accomplishments. So begin to bring in joy first, not only after the hard work. The joy opens the gates for magic. He went on to say this shift, there's a shift in consciousness. This shift is beginning to open consciousness in new ways. You're relearning what humanity has once forgotten. The consciousness you see when you read the newspapers is cracking up and crashing down of the old consciousness. It's not what you were born to bring in. What you were born to bring in is here. It's what you see when you close your eyes and go into your heart, or when you hug each other, or when you watch the Olympics, right? That new consciousness is stronger than we've ever seen it. All of us in the higher realms are grateful for how much you are accomplishing in this new consciousness. So when you look at the world, don't look at the world of the news. The breaking apart of the old is essential. You have to see darkness, you have to see the violence so that you can actually embrace them again. You understand that a denied or unacknowledged hurt in your body may eventually cause disease. So you must ask the darkness to come up, not to be denied. Bless the darkness, bless the events that show that humanity's not yet won. Feel that your hearts, your souls are one with each other. Consciousness is the expansion of awareness into love. There's nothing else. The more you are love, come from love, see love, and this is the month of Valentine's Day, right? The more your consciousness can expand. This includes loving the unlovable. So I'd like to end this by a grandmother blessing. And these blessings are powerful. They come from the other side, and they're different for each person and different every time. But let's set all of our intention that this is the time for celebrating life. It's the time for holding true power, true self, our magnificence, and the magnificence of the world. So receive this blessing. Oh, and let me just tell you, the next time we'll be doing this Facebook Live, because after the blessing, I'm all over the place, is Sunday, March 6th, will be the next one. So thank you. Bring your blessing. I want you to put your hands up, and all of us not only receive, but all of us bless, love, and bring our power through in a blessing to all. Can you feel that you're taking everyone else's blessing and magnifying it and sending it out with your special greeting on it? And now let's move our hands from the blessing mudra to the just celebrating grace receiving mudra. And stay here as long as you want. And now the mudra of gratitude. Thank you and blessings. Be well.